Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Enjoy the Walk Golf podcast. Myself, Dalton, here with my good friend Dante. Dante, we've got an exciting guest on, Billy Brown from the Golf Sanctuary, real estate mogul from down south. Happy to have him on the show, Billy. Excited to get into what is the Golf Sanctuary and what is just golf trends overall in this coming year. I know you've got a lot of insight into both, so happy to have you on the show.
I mean, what a time to be in the industry, and what a time to be alive, and so excited to have you guys. You're calling me South, and we're calling you guys some Yankees, so it's cool to connect. But it's all around the game we mostly love. So this is good. Again, no topics off limits, so let's go there. And first off, so just so people know, I did not accept the $100 million from the LIV tour. So just that's not a price. 101 million may get me, but not 100 million. So
yeah, we also had talks with our legal, and we had to turn down some lucrative deals. We're waiting for that, that pressure point at 102, maybe.
maybe, everyone's got their price. So
that's it. Well, speaking of just, overall golf trends, obviously LIV being the number one topic, talking golf off the course, I think, is where we love to see a lot of action going on with people maybe not knowing what the game is and getting into it for the first time. We've seen places like 5-iron golf pop up in big metropolitan areas like New York and out in California. But that's obviously kind of the walk-in, schedule your own, very laid back, right? We're seeing the Golf Sanctuary and other places pop up across the country and have their own twist on it. What brought you into having the idea of, I think I can do that, but just a little bit better, maybe?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, it's selfish. I've played professional golf, member of a club. You fast forward, I was playing 3 times a week down to 3 times a month and 3 times a year. And we all recognize that, like, you just don't have the time anymore. And even in the South, you figure like, hey, you guys in the South, weather's great. Yeah, well, did you see the forecast this week? We're highs in 97 to hundreds for the next 5 days. It has been that way. I mean, raise your hand if you want to go play golf in that, even if you do have the time. No thanks. But all the golf courses here are full. All the waiting lists are full. We're popular as a place to move, and therefore there's no more golf available unless you want to go play in a 105 heat index. Like, I'm past that. Unless it's a high stakes tournament, not going that way, especially for business. And plus, I had a young family and business and all that. It's like I can't go take my clients to the golf course because my golf course is hard and it'll kick their butts. I can't take my daughter there, and I sure as heck can't do business there because against we'll lose them. So what do you go do to create that and recreate not only that experience on the golf course but also that private club? So the idea of the Golf Sanctuary came into my head probably 6 years ago, and I couldn't model it out financially because my background is real estate investing and commercial lending and all that. So numbers got to make sense. It took me 6 years to model it out, and then we had to find a location, and just the call it divine intervention, but the perfect location, the perfect building popped open in the middle of COVID, which is fantastic timing because no one was doing anything. We just kept on plowing forward. So we actually have a unique characteristic where it's like every high-end private country club that's exclusive out there, which is there's no signs, there's no address, the shades are drawn, and there's no pictures or videos inside. Wow. So when you walk in, you literally have that sanctuary. We have the reason we have Heisman Award winners, and we have just had a 3-time World Series coach walk through. We have multiple, obviously, musician, Grammy Award winners and all that walk through. I got Taylor Swift's first manager, who's actually not only a member, but is basically our volunteer social media guru. So all the social media stuff out there you see internally and externally is Taylor Swift's first manager doing it because he's a golf nut and loves the place. So the buy-in from these people is extravagant. But because we created that culture is why we created the attracted the people. And for us, and I'll be flat out honest with everyone that walked in, it's like if all you see in here is golf when you walk in, you've completely missed it. This is not what it's about. It's about community. And what we've really noticed, and this is part of the going deep, guys, is what we really noticed in COVID is the lack of connection, true connection, and be able to give people that place where it's safe to go connect and be real and have life together and create life together. And what better common language than this great sport we call golf? A game we
Well, I'm gonna interject myself there. I think one of the things that pops out to me immediately, and you speak connectivity and community, and you look at courses that do kind of take the phones out of spectators' hands, like the Masters. Dante, we just had a conversation off air before, Billy, you joined us, and we were talking about Pine Valley and how there's really restrictive of taking your phones out there, but the sense of, when you're in that environment, being truly immersed in it grows when you're able to take the phones or, take the media out of people's hands and just immerse yourself in that environment. It's next level. And when people leave it, they realize, oh my gosh, I was really immersed in where I was and when I was, and I remember it better because of that aspect. So I think it's really neat in a day and age where, people are posting pictures of every venue they go to, and phones are out all day long at a PGA Tour event. And you make the headlines for not having the phones in your hands rather than having the phone in your hands.
The Michelob Ultra guy. I mean, he's standing there like watching Tiger, just soaking it in, and he gets a contract. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, and quite honestly, that's what it's about. It's like being able to just put it down, exhale, and just go, okay, I left the outside world. I'm not CEO. I'm not Heisman Award. I'm not that person out there. And here, I'm just Billy. And here, I'm just Dante. I'm just Dalton. I'm just me hanging out with other guys and girls that love the game and doing life and being able to just relax. And there's not many safe places like that anymore that you can go. And then also have a hell of a lot of fun because the technology allows us to do many things that others can't with the commercial license and what's coming. You guys are very familiar with TrackMan. What's coming, you guys can see the gaming and interconnectivity of it and the global gaming of it, where they're going. And we're preparing ourselves for that. And what better thing to go do is than have, our musician and NHL player versus your musician and that NHL player and live stream it and all the trash talking they're in. One of the events and that'll be one of them. But honestly, one of the events we actually have as far as our keynote events is the Kumite. You guys may be too young for this. You guys remember the movie Bloodsport?
I don't. No. Might have missed that by a couple years.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is the leader, and it's a terrible movie. It's like a B-roll movie. But that's why. So it was one of those movies you watch in the 80s and 90s, and it's so bad it's good. It's like a whole bunch of gory fighting, whatever. The guys love it. But he travels to Japan for invite only, winner take all, blood sport fight. So as a joke, we decided to call our best of the best event the Kumite. And the winner gets not only cash prize, NLI contracts, which we get into, but also a sword. We couldn't get a 6-foot sword because of COVID. We got like a 4-foot sword, actual real sword that will cut your hand off. That's your trophy and match play. So that's one of going to be our premier events. Where we're thinking, okay, what better place to go showcase all this? Like, it doesn't matter if you're 12 years old or 90 years old, you can play in this. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. It doesn't matter. PGA Tour, senior PGA Tour, whatever, like show up, pay your entry fee, and let's get it on, winner take all. And that's going to be the fun part of it. So imagine that globally, and we just get all geeked out about it. So, but it's, the thing about the Golf Sanctuary, why we love it is not only the business leaders, but also being competitive golfer. We know how to take the competitive golf aspects of it, the cool events we should go to, and then incorporate the technology to make it like a badass, just really cool experience. And plus,
I think that's the thing that's incredible right now is obviously you're getting started in the area that you are, and you just kind of mentioned the idea of growth and international play with the TrackMan connectivity and things like that. Immediately off the bat, you've seen really high interest, obviously, like you were mentioned before, between Heisman winners and coaches and media producers and everything. Where do you grow it from here? Because I think obviously the idea as a business owner is to say, all right, let's gauge interest and then, capitalize on growth opportunity. Where do you go just from your expertise in the real estate side of things and say, where's my value in growing markets from here? And where do I grow the Golf Sanctuary?
Oh, the easiest one is, where do I want to go? I mean, it's just be selfish, and we totally, it's like, my bet was in the middle of COVID, all that, and all the things going on. Cause I was in commercial and still am in commercial lending. I mean, that year probably lost $250,000, $300,000 in revenue, just gone in 1 week because capital market shut down. So, it's the whole life is short. Like, where are you going to go? Like, okay, well, where do I want to go? Put one of these and go travel to. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun and actually have good golf courses. We'll just pick where the best golf courses are and find the metros that closely match, where we're at Western County. So obviously Charleston's on the list, Jacksonville, Tampa, all that. Where all the golf courses are that we want to go play, they're exclusive. We're going to go there because inevitably we're going to find the members of those clubs become members of the golf sanctuary and then automatically access to them. Because that's what golfers do. Like, we want to invite others to our clubs to go play and have community. And that's the part of it. And then you boil down to the boring number stuff. It's like, yeah, I've got a guy that's one of my lead investors that has access to the GIS data and demographics and all that. We can start mapping stuff down to the zip code and the street. But I don't, my thought is just worry about like, hey, where do we want to actually got to go? I'm not going to go put one I don't want to go. I was like, who wants to go to Kansas? I mean, I'm from Oklahoma. I was like, I want to go there. No offense to my Oklahoma people, but
make your way down to the main line in Philly. Yeah. A lot of private clubs up there.
Yeah, it's we Chester County is on the. I mean, we've got a lot of. I mean, again, it's knowing what zip code to put it in and actually finding location that's perfect because it's two different things. Two different things. So it's going to match up. Yeah.
What's super interesting, obviously, like as we've seen, like I said, ideas like this pop up before. Dante, correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen many things quite like it in just the nuances it offers. Obviously, we talked the golf side of things, and you talked, the bar side of things, which other places have too. But you've got an executive chef, that you kind of flex on, and as people being able to dine at a higher end in there as well. From an overall standpoint of just having executives, having these higher end people come in, I feel like that's a massive part of it. What brought in the dining side of things as well to maybe offer that side where a lot of places only have a bar and kind of bar food in their opportunities?
Well, it goes down to your priorities. The 5 irons and all that, the Top Golf indoors are very much driven by metrics. So what's the highest profitability that you can do in your food and bev? How quickly you can turn it? How quickly you can turn people in there, in and out? That's it. Numbers game. For us, it's about community. How do you create community? One of my favorite speakers, actually up in the Northeast, is Rabbi Daniel Lappin. He says conversations around food are different. Well, I added to that, conversations around food and golf are much different. It becomes very it becomes very intense and not intentional. So the more we can have people stick around, and the best food takes longer to prepare, just like life and friendships. They take longer to prepare. And when it comes out, you're more appreciative of the work that came in an artistry. So we went extra with, not extra. We took it to the next level, a whole new level with our executive chef, Joey. And quite honestly, it wasn't my call. My COO, I coached in college. We have a great relationship. I mean, it's kind of like a working spouse type thing, but I mean, I still have a little bit of pull on him, but sometimes they go off the rails. And this one, he went off the rails. He goes, and I love it when he says this, because I know he's going someplace with it. He knows my heart. He knows where he's going with it. He goes, all right, you're going to hate it, and then you're going to love it. Let me tell you what I did. I was like, cool, you're owning it. Tell me what you did. I was like, how are we going to get this chef? I was like, you don't want this. We got this guy that's like a executive chef that's award winning and listing all his credentials. And I went, whoa, how are we going to afford him? He's like, you're not going to. He's going to make you money. I was like, now I'm interested. You're speaking my language. How do we, invest and get a return on our investment, not only in the financial world, but also the community? And his interview was, he cooked for us. And I was like, and they basically said, all right, of all this, to me, price points, profitability, because the food's amazing. I mean, it's the best. I mean, I'm from Oklahoma. Ribs are a religion, y'all. I mean, do not mess with barbecue and ribs. Like, I can tell you the best 5 locations in the area. And this is by far the best ribs I've ever had. I mean, he's cooked 2 different versions. Like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. She's to see the leftover, the after pictures, because I never take a picture before because it's like just diving in. Probably one of the best 5 steaks I've ever had in my life, coming out of that little kitchen. But we want to provide that elevated experience because we knew if we did that, we would attract the right clientele that really values community in what we stood for as a club. And they would bring their friends in to go, oh my gosh, you got to try this. And it's a little hole in the wall place. It looks like the building from The Office, the Dunder Mifflin building, on purpose. And it's like, what are we eating here? What's going on? It's like, no, just trust me. It's one of those places, So the whole idea there is elevation. Everything we're doing is elevated to attract that higher end clientele, their higher end, their elevated expectations, because there's nothing really around in the area, and people will pay for that.
For sure. And I think, obviously so many great aspects of the nuances, what are going into the golf sanctuary. Let's take a step back from that and kind of talk about the history of what led you up to this point. Obviously, getting into real estate is a massive part of where you're at today. But you played some professional golf there as well. And, obviously there's some nuances there that led you into kind of combining the two. Where'd you get your start in golf, and how did that lead you down the path of playing professionally?
Well, the going joke was I invested a lot of money I lost in golf. There's a reason it's a sport and not a business for playing. But I grew up playing golf. I grew up in Stillwater, Oklahoma. We got a little school there called Oklahoma State. They're okay. It's just blessed to be around that. There's really one country club there. And so by the time I was growing up, when I was from 10 to 15, practicing with the women's team every day, and it was cool to be able to chip and putt with them, go play holes when they were in qualifiers and all that. And then, get a bit older, get to play against the men. And it was like, that's how you learn how to be really good. On top of that, my dad was really involved in wrestling. So in Oklahoma State University, wrestling is a mecca. So being able to see the golf and the wrestling together as far as the athletes, what it took to be great, and surrounding myself with the athletes, but also the coaches, I just dove right into it. I loved it. I just loved the grind. And, I always wanted to play professional golf. I got the opportunity to go play at Oklahoma State for a couple of years, then transferred to the University of Tulsa because after a year and a half, I saw the roster. I'm like, yeah, I'm not playing here. These guys are good.
That's some crazy talent they have out there. It's insane.
It was insane. I'm like, yeah, this is nuts. But you fast forward to now. Both head coaches, men's and women's, were on my golf team that I played with. So it's pretty cool to see their success now, from playing to now being coaches. And then you go into, the failed professional golfer world, which, not many people succeed at. That's the story is there is for a whole other podcast. Just spending money, the misery, the depression, not knowing what's going on, to figuring out like, yeah, I got to do something else. And I couldn't go back home. I was in a small town. Everyone knew me for golf. So like, where's your resume? Well, it's right here. All it says is golf on it. It's like, this is it. That's my only skill set. So I had to go find a different place to go and go roots. I picked Nashville because when I was driving, playing amateur golf and professional golf, I stopped in here several times. Loved the vibe. Who doesn't love Nashville? And I decided to pack up everything and move in 2003, and just bounced around for a while, just trying to figure myself out. Was going to make a comeback in 2008. Actually had an investor going to back all me for 3 years. And it was like the meeting, that one, like life-changing, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. I get our chance at this. And I got 3 years to go do it. And I knew what it needed to go take. And everyone kind of knows what happened fall of 2008. Same kind of thing. Capital markets struck out. He couldn't do all of it. And I decided, look, if I don't have 3 years, I'm not going to go try it because it's going to take 3 years. Long story short, I was down my last $5 or $10 in my bank account. I just had to email them and go, hey, I need a job. Will you hire me? So literally got nothing. And I'll clean toilets. I don't care. And he was in the mortgage industry, and Tommy finance and mortgage, and still a mentor me at mine today. And did that for a few years. But they got frustrated because, we're golfers. We think outside the box. That's why we're great. So they were much in the box, and like, I can't go do this. And I found out about commercial lending and investing. So that was outside the box, so to speak. And started figuring out how to go match debt to projects and got really good at it. I'm a connector by naturally. So connecting dollars to deals and deals to dollars and just being able to figure stuff out and learning the industry, and then writing a newsletter and tracking the real estate guys radio program launched me in a whole other level. Where I was down hanging out with the who's who in real estate down in Belize, and they're my friends now, not just gurus. And, syndicated apartment complex in 2019, syndicated office complex. And then that's where we lead up to Golf Sanctuary of, hey, I mean, again, you guys aren't in real estate, but if you look at an offering memorandum for an apartment complex, you'll fall asleep looking at it, because it's just, if you've never seen one before, that's about the third one, they're all the same. You know what the RRs are, you know what the cash to cash is, just like what it is. It's as boring as hell. It's just numbers. You're never going to go see the place. I have an apartment in Kentucky. I've been there once when I first saw it. I'll never go there again. It's like it's an ugly brick building. Like, there's nothing there. The office in Wisconsin, same thing. I'll never go there again. Like, I may drive by it and wave at it if I go, because it's in Sheboygan. So if I want to go play whistling and all that, drive by. Hey,
there you go. There's your connect, right?
There's your connect right there. That's for sure.
Tax write-off. But this, I was trying to look for something different. I mean, everyone was looking at, different. And one of my friends and mentors, Dave Zook, and I say this jokingly, but he teaches on this. Is like, you have permission to make investing fun. And I went, whoa, I didn't think about that. And that hit a chord. And this is where we're going to go deep. I told you that, guys, this. So my dad had a tire warehouse growing up and spent 40 or 50 years in it, probably 40 years. Never took a vacation, worked 80, 90 hours a week. The week he bought out his dad and brother from the business was the 1986 tax reform, and where interest rates went from 3 to 4 to 18%. And he had a $2 million bill with the bank and couldn't make the payments. And he fought his way out of it, and then got the next crash in 92, took him out. And lost his mojo, lost his health. 2004, he had a heart attack. And 2011, he got, 2010, he got cancer and died in 2013. His only trips he took were to MD Anderson. So the whole thought about, I'm going to work and then go live life and retire and then invest so that I can then never happened for him. And we just saw in 2020, then didn't happen for many others either. So the question became, how can I create how can I create a place to invest and create community and have a place that's is around the people I want to go do life with and have the financial ability to go travel, play golf, and just do what I want to go do all at the same time. The inclusivity of life instead of invest and then. It's like, how do we do it now?
I think so many people found that epiphany over like the 2020 shutdown for sure. I know we both did. Both kind of were laid off from our jobs, and that's really how we doubled down on this. I mean, we went from one podcast a week to 3 a week, and just started literally shooting out, hey, come on, on every social media platform possible. And I think when you look at it, you described it so perfectly of like the the way your father didn't have the then. And I think so many people saw that and said, well, where's my then? It could be over tomorrow. Why not kind of flip the script and make my then now? And I think, I know we saw that. I know a lot of people saw that, and kind of, I think the whole world saw that from what's happening now of this kind of great resignation and people finding their own way. And I think it's really affecting business now and how people go about creating not only, their own maybe business opportunities, but just creating a way of life. And I think the way of life and business are starting to blend a lot more for a lot of people within how they're operating.
Yeah. And that's, there's a whole level of a rise in consciousness of how short life is and how precious it is. And, I treat my employees great. There's still work that's got to be done to be able to go do this. But at the same time, life is short. And even for me, like, I'm the worst boss ever because I will put my own needs, wants, desires aside to go work because I like doing it. there's again the grinder in me of, you put in the work. You have to, but at the same time, like, man, it's okay to go take a day and play golf. So one of my goals this year, and this, it was kind of weird, as one of those goals you put out there, is to play 36 rounds of golf outside this year. So we did a tracker, which is, sounds weird. It sounds the weirdest thing ever, but like what we track improves, right? It's like, okay, well, how do I go prove this if I don't track it? It's like, okay, well, how do you put the metrics in there? How do you put the cause and effects? How do you go block off time to go do it and then hit these goals? Like, but 36 rounds of golf for most people is like, I do that in 3 months. And for me, I hadn't played 36.
I did that in a month.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I hadn't played 36 rounds in 3 years.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it, I looked at my gin stuff. I'm going, I'm the best ATM out there. I'm a +3 handicap that plays, 3 times a month. So, people just take my money anytime you want to. So, but I was like, what do I got to do? The same thing, like going and traveling and all that. So same thing, like how do you include the golf sanctuary, that elevated lifestyle we want to do business with, and how do you go take that next level of the partnerships, with private aviation, partnerships with exclusive resorts, partnerships and friends that have, golf memberships, exclusive clubs to go deeper and enjoy life together. And because it's short, you can always work. You die tomorrow, you can be replaced. You can't replace you as a dad and a husband, but they can for sure replace you as an employee. They're not going to miss you.
Something that you touched on that hit hard to me, and I think relates to just the golfer in me, Dante. I don't know, maybe it'll relate to the golfer in you too. When you talked about being just low on the bank account and just fighting and shooting out kind of one last hope, it reminds me of a Monday qualifier, right? It reminds me of just back against the wall, knowing that, hey, you might not make it till tomorrow. You might not make it to the next tournament, and you've got to just fire at all cylinders and hope something hits, right? And it just kind of it clicked to me because I've caddied for a good friend of mine in a bunch of Monday qualifiers, and it's just one of those things where you don't know. You could go out, shoot 63, and half the 8 guys shoot 62 and 61, and you're out.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those crazy things that I think a lot of professional golfers who aren't the top 125, aren't the top 150, that go out to Korn Ferry qualifying and even Q School and mini tours. It's that life of like not knowing if it's even going to be good enough when you feel like you gave it your best. And it just clicked to me that was kind of very similar, just from a golfing standpoint of what you had to deal with. I always think professional golfers make the best businessmen if they've got a good work ethic and a good drive.
It's amazing because then you wake up and go, one day going, damn, I could actually make a hell of a lot more money than the top 10 PGA Tour players in business if I do this the right way and not have to work as hard and still play golf at a competitive level. And I was like, once I realized that, I went, okay, this is kind of silly. Now I know how this all works and how the markets work and how to go create these companies. And it's kind of ridiculous, but I wish I would have known that, how old am I now? 25 years ago. It'd be a wholly different place there. But the hustle. That's if you have the hustle, it's you can get a lot of places in life. You can outwork your competition. One of my favorite sayings, this kind of goes into where we are in economics and with the cycle we're in, and just I was actually up in Lancaster. It was last year, in the midst of everything, just really stressed about everything going on at home. Like there's just too many variables that are out of my control and too many different ways that's getting hit. And I was like, man, I can't prepare for everything. And actually the rabbi was up there, and this kind of vision from above said, you can't prepare for everything. All you can do is trust your hustle and trust your tribe. It's like, whoa, that's powerful.
Say that again for those who might not have been listening.
Trust your hustle and trust your tribe. So who do you
like that? Yeah.
You better be able to work. You better be able to figure it out, dig it out of the dirt, like the golfers say. And then who do you hang around with? Who are those people? Because if you have a strong tribe and a strong hustle, you'll be fine. It won't go as planned, but you'll be fine. So
I know that for a fact. We've planned so many things, and you hit the launch button and you go, and you're thinking you're just on this immediate rise to the top, right? And then something hits, something doesn't stick, and then you're kind of back to always planning, right? Always kind of trying to find a way to improve. And I think as the metrics are changing, as the world is constantly evolving, what you think you are doing that people will love sometimes hits and sometimes doesn't hit. It's constantly like this revolving wheel, but that's the fun of it. I think from our standpoint is always just trying to find the new sticking points and have some fun in doing it.
I mean, the world's constantly changing, and if your business plan is static, you're going to get crushed. You got to be able to see in the future and be able to adjust the sales and what your clientele wants. Thing about the Golf Sanctuary is there's nothing like this delivered in the marketplace, and there's a reason why, because it's the least profitable model out there. And we started looking at it and going, yeah, this is great. And we pitch it to our investors, and we start there. It's like, this is the least profitable model. They're like, well, why the hell are you doing it? So just wait. It's also the longest longevity.
Sure. I know, speaking of not only the longevity of what you guys are working on, what do you see in 2023, 2024 and beyond, as far as some things that have some longevity opportunities on and off the golf course within the golf spectrum?
I mean, as far as the businesses, or just what I'm seeing, especially, I mean, the whole fascinating thing, if you want to go here right now, is that between the LIV tour and NIL contracts, NCAA, I mean, there's a whole chasm about to happen between NCAA, NIL, and all that. It's getting very fascinating. Very fascinating.
I think I would want your opinion on it, because I'm a huge NCAA fan from a viewership standpoint, right? Yep. I don't really like the way they run it and the way they kind of have their claws in everything, but I love it from just a competitive standpoint. I think some of the NCAAs down the stretch are some of the best golf to watch. Dante and I talk about it all the time, why it's not put on TV more. It's just absurd.
Yeah.
But I think we have an opportunity to maybe talk about like TV rights for NCAA because of the NIL and just different things coming along. What do you see in that aspect, and how does it maybe start to blend with what's going on professionally?
Well, the fascinating thing, and this is really fascinating. We're actually going to do a free webinar on this with some sports agents here very soon, and trying to get the golf bodies as well. Golf is one of those interesting things that when it comes to NIL contracts, that there's two governing bodies. Most other sports have one. Okay. So USGA gymnastics kind of covers everything else. Like if you're, for us, it's NCAA plus USGA plus RNA. So there's no agreement on what's going on, what you can go compensate with. And we've had many conversations with them. So the using the rights of your face to go promote an event or whatever now, or you're even like, you've got a YouTube channel and people subscribe to it and you monetize it. And all of a sudden, like a kicker, I don't know what the kicker was, but he had to go either give that up or give up his college scholarship because he couldn't do both. Well, that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, this is America. You can't go force a kid to go give that up. So there's a legal battle there. I don't know what happened to it. The golfer, the little, I forgot her name. Lucy Lee, I think what it was.
Lucy Lee. She ran into a big monetization issue.
I remember that.
At like 15 years old. Yeah.
And I think it kind of kicked off a little bit of the NIL stuff going, this is not right. USGA and everyone else uses her image and likeness for free to promote their events. Now she gets a platform there, but at the same time, hey, there's got to be compensation there. You couldn't do that to anyone else in the world. So why is it just golfers? It seems a little discriminatory. So the whole conversation about free markets is really fascinating, and that boils up into even the LIV. Now you got these college kids, and I called it. I can't pronounce his last name. I mean, it goes to Oklahoma State. Chikara, Eugenio. I called it like where he was going to go the pro portal, the NCAA or the U. What's it called? God, late at night.
Transfer portal.
Yeah. That's for university play-in program for the pros, and then backed out. And it's like, well, he's going to wait till LIV and go that direction. That was last year or 6 months ago, and sure enough, he did. It's like, why would you go try to fight your way and do it the right way and the way it's always been done? And again, I'm not trying to be disparaging there, but just showing the dynamic there versus like, you're a great player, going over here and taking a guaranteed and be able to pay yourself, live a life and not be broke, back to, having $5 in your name. It's like, what kind of path would you take? It's like, it's kind of clear. So the competition in that is going to be very interesting to see what these kids do. And I'm even going to say, like, some of these kids are just going to forego college golf, go straight into LIV.
I see that happening a lot. And I think
Definitely.
Dante and I talked about this from just a world perspective, right? Like, as a golf fan talking about it, you've almost got to zone out and get yourself unattached from just the United States and look across the world. Players that maybe have thought about, I got to go to university for 2 years to go play the American dream of playing golf over in the United States. All of a sudden, LIV offers an opportunity to do that without going to university for 1 or 2 years. I mean, you look at guys like Matt Fitzpatrick, who spent 2 years, absolutely hated it, and then just turned pro.
Yeah.
Guys like that have the opportunity to turn pro and not have to grind on Q school for 2-3 years before they really get their card. I mean, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for 16, 17-year-olds to see a hunk of change real quick if their world golf ranking, is inside the top 5 of amateurs.
Oh, yeah.
That, at the end of the day, too, I mean, you're going to see these players that, like you said, you grow up around a golf course, all you know is golf. And you, like you said, your resume just had golf.
Yeah.
You're at a point where that's all I know. And then, you get these kids now, you're like, well, if that's all I know, what am I going to do? I'm going to go play golf. So if I have the opportunity to basically say, I can go do what I know and do what I know best is play golf and get paid. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what these guys want to do. They want to be able to play the sport that they love and make it their career.
Yeah.
So if I can go jump and do that and set myself up for success and live comfortably, I'm going to do that.
Well, and we're the golf's the only sport that kind of has that. And it's not guaranteed, which is great. There's a great, moral standard there of earning your keep, and you get what you earn. At the same time, like, this is not, the whole thing about it, the amateur status. You look back into it, amateur status was designed for people that had immense amounts of wealth over in Britain. The pros were because you had to go scrape it out. That's why most caddies were pros. They didn't have any money. The amateurs came from great family wealth with land barons and all that. You fast forward, you flip over the United States, you're like, well, why are we still living in those early 1900 rules when it's 2022? I forgot what year it was.
Hope it'll do that to you.
So, and then also you get these guys that are coming out, these basketball players. I mean, it's a whole different world, but, they're 18 years old before going to college or maybe play a year and coming out with, 7-figure contracts. And, they're going to be done in 2 years because they're going to hurt themselves and blow it all and whatever. Most of them lose their money. But, the golf's that only sport doesn't have any kind of guaranteed money. And I think it's going to flip the script on how golfers are compensated, and the business of golf is going to be drawn on its head, but also the whole fractionalization of, well, why would you go to college if you're a great athlete? Especially now, I mean, as expensive it is, if you're going to play golf anyway, I mean, you can always go get another college degree. There's always continuing education there. I mean, most colleges are parties. That's my personal opinion there.
I agree with you on that. I feel like it might, to me, it's almost in today's era. Yeah. It seems it's a 4-year escape, at least a 4-year escape before you actually put your foot in the real world. And that's kind of how I'm seeing it now.
You're going to get no argument from the side of us on that statement. I mean, it's very true. I was friends with a lot of guys on the Penn State golf team from like 2013 to 2017. And you look at those guys and a lot of them coming in were incredible talents and kind of almost partied their way out of it in a retrospect. And you saw that a lot, I felt like, within, at least the Big Ten schools that I was familiar with. I wasn't too familiar with anyone really across the Mississippi, but, you saw it a lot. You saw a lot of the action kind of going on outside of classrooms and outside of the golf course. And you said, well, is that really your best investment personally? And, over the longevity, probably not.
No. And part of the college experience is socialization, but at the same time, you can get that anywhere. And if you surround yourself, we know this through psychology. What's that book? I'll have to pull this up in a second. It's a great book I read, and I'll text this to you guys. But your tribe and who you surround yourself with determines your net worth, not necessarily your skill set. So if you want to be a better golfer, if you hang around better golfers, you become a better golfer. Conversely, if you hang around bad golfers, you become a bad golfer. This is what it is. I mean, you're gonna elevate to who you're around. Same thing in business and life. So if you're around a bunch of college losers, you're going to become a college loser because that's what you're going to go. You're hanging around. But the whole conversation now, especially when most schools were still doing virtual classes, like, why the hell am I paying $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year or a semester sometimes to go watch it on my computer screen? Why? What's the benefit here? And half the classes have no interest. I mean, even back in when I was in school, I think I got my degree in marketing, and I think I actually had three marketing classes I actually took. And you looked at it going, how did I get a marketing degree? I only had 3 classes in that. That doesn't seem right. I think I had more philosophy and psychology classes than I did marketing. This is a kind of head scratcher. So anyway, it's the value. People are actually looking, again, the value of your time in your life. I'm not going to spend it 4 years or 5 years in college, get out of school for $100,000 in debt or plus, and then have to go do something, or to spend the same amount of money or maybe half and create a business, create a lifestyle, create go try a hand of the tour, learn about business in your own. Because you got to learn about travel, you got to learn about your fitness, you got to learn about health, you got to learn about different cultures. All the things that golf teaches us. Within golf itself, there's stuff you're not going to learn in school. At all. How to manage finances. Everything like that. You're not going to know until you actually get out anyway. So why? Might as well jump in. Fail forward, right?
For sure. No, I think you talk about building that team around you, especially as a professional golfer. I think Cam Smith talked about it a lot in his post-round interview after the Open, of just saying, like, all the aspects are finally there of the team I've been trying to build for 4 or 5 years now. And, you look at the caddy edition he added, and then he had him around for 3 or 4 years. And then he talks about his business manager and his fitness manager and his, having a couple less beers with the buddies every day and grinding on the range for 2 or 3 hours. And that starts to compound. And it's not just like a flip a switch for these guys and all of a sudden they're creating world-class golf shots. It's a long process, even if they're young, to start this journey of playing world-class golf. So why maybe delay that journey and move into the college realm when you can just dive right into it and start playing in different avenues. So I want to flip the conversation a little bit and maybe talk just on like the general consumer, right? Let's talk what we see in the general consumer and almost this like kind of post-COVID golf boom that we've seen of a lot of people really interested in it, whether it's an off-course, generation or, a little bit of hybrid generation of people really enjoying watching, playing, and kind of all of the above. What are you seeing in the market, just, locally and maybe even globally that's adding to that?
Well, the thing that people love about golf is they become their own god. It really strikes the chord of a deity experience because you make this inanimate object do what you want, but it doesn't. So it's like kind of the deity experience plus the plus life. Like you can do everything you can correctly, and it still screws up. So plus it's the good walk spoiled. So people want to go outside. They want to enjoy life. They want to enjoy the camaraderie. They want to enjoy their buds, their family, and just be able to get away from the stress. And golf's one of those things that does it, but it's being taken away because of a lot of things. In Nashville specifically, we just got a few people moving here, still about 120 people a day. All of our golf courses are full, be private, public, everything full, and all the wait lists are full. So if you want to go play golf in this area, you're about an hour drive. And even that golf course that I go to or used to go to is very full as well. But that's an all-day experience. You can't justify that. I mean, unless you're single, I mean, you can't justify that at all. Hey, I mean, I remember my days actually going out that golf course over in Dixon. Great people, love those guys. Great golf course. I wish it was 45 minutes closer. I mean, I leave at 7 a.m., get home at 5. It's a job between the drive,
All day.
hours, all that. And there's this thing, and it doesn't matter if it's that or down the street here, the whole thing about golf guilt. You guys know what that is, right? Golf guilt.
You gotta fill us in on that one. I don't think we don't know that one.
So we're probably going to trademark golf guilt here pretty soon. So golf guilt is that the mind screwing that you do yourself when you want to be on the golf course. You finally get your chance to, but you haven't practiced, and you're out there. You play so poorly that you hate yourself because you should be working. You're one of the places that you enjoy, but you're playing so poorly you don't enjoy it, so you feel like you should be working, or spend time with family, or whatever it is. The whole golf guilt is a really big thing. Even if you got the hall pass from the spouse, significant other, it's a big deal. Look, even I had the most supportive spouse in the world, and she understood, like, hey, it's okay to be out there. I want you out there. When you're playing golf, you're happier most of the time. We're playing good golf, I'm happier. But at the same time, like, you're like, God, I mean, I just shot 80 out there and just on an easy day. And like, I should have been. So that is a real thing for business leaders or anyone of, man, I shouldn't be out here enjoying myself. I should be someplace else. And especially it's 5 hours. Time is the biggest deterrent. So anytime you can go create opportunities, engage in the game that takes less time or less, it's easier to get to. It's less. I mean, look, golf's a hard game. I mean, even for me, I played since I was 4 years old. It's still a hard ass game. I mean, it is. I mean, I can't imagine like trying now to teach somebody that doesn't have any athletic ability at all, try to play the game. Or like, this is stupid. Go do drugs. It's a lot cheaper and a lot more fulfilling, quite honestly. It's like, I mean, let's be honest. Like, I'm joking. Don't do drugs. It's bad.
We are not condoning doing drugs, but he might have a point, is all we're saying.
Run the numbers, make a decision on
Golf's its own drug, man.
Yeah.
Golf's addicting in itself.
So you think about it, you go, it's a hard game already. It takes a long time. It's very expensive to get into, and it's supposed to be enjoyable. Like, what the hell are we smoking? But people still love it. And so, but how do you go engage those people? I mean, Topgolf, the biggest number there that came out of this is like 10 or 11 million people came through Topgolf that never played golf before. Of those, I think 7 million want to engage the game somehow other than Topgolf, maybe take the next level. Well, what do you do with those 7 million people that want to play more golf when there's no golf available, or they're not ready for prime time? What are you going to do? Like, you're going to take them out to the local muni and go play, and with no instruction, no nothing, and you give them a driver and say good luck? I mean, they're going to quit. It's like, cool, this is great, but now what? So how do you go get them engaged? So we're seeing the technology side of this, what are stuff you can do at home, or clubs like ours, 5-iron, whatever, to be able to be that bridge. Because if you give them more reps and you give them some instruction and give them some feedback on what makes the golf ball do this, and how you can go control that and do it in less frustrating time, they're going to enjoy it more. They're going to play more often. And then when they do get a chance to go play outside, they're going to enjoy it because you don't suck as bad. You can go at least keep it this direction versus this direction and go find it and hit it and giggle and move on. Because it is a fun game. At the same time, if you've never played before and you go out there first time ever and you go try to go play 18 holes of golf, I mean, God love you. I mean,
you hit on a really interesting point there of just the rapid growth of like folks who obviously see Topgolf, and then from the numbers you gave, almost 2/3 are wanting to go pursue it outside of the Top Golf experience. So then all of a sudden you're talking to this massive influx. Facilities like yours and 5-iron can obviously lend a hand a little bit to kind of mitigate that transition. But do you see maybe like even a renaissance of maybe smaller golf courses being built or more golf courses being built in the next decade or so? Or how do you see that like influx of people being accommodated over the next decade?
So before I tell you that, I got to tell you the story about the brand new golfer. I'll liven this out before I go on the dark side of the golf.
Absolutely.
So you talk about brand new golfers playing golf. I played
Yep.
Whistling 2 years ago. It was 2 years. It was 2 years ago. And it was 20. I think it was 2020. And I got paired with 3 guys. One was a brother. Never, ever, ever, ever played golf before. Rental set and all with caddy. He wanted to play with his brother's laws. He actually played, I think, a little bit college. They're mid-80s shooters. And his first round of golf ever is at Whistling Straits. And I shook his hand and I go, "You are the most inspiring person I ever met in the world." Because
Or delusional, one of the two.
Good luck.
tell me someone else paid for this $500 round of golf. And they did. I was like, cool. But your first round of golf ever. And by the end, his cat, I mean, God, I hope he tipped his caddy well because they were off. We never saw him. He kept that okay, but I mean, he must have shot 130. But I think by the end, he made like a triple on 18. It was pretty good. I mean, he was getting there. But your first round of golf is Whistling. I mean, holy crap. Anyway, future of golf and like sizing it down. I know Tiger's got a concept, but it's only going to be the Southeast. Because of the growth. I mean, you look at the data of the demographic, the booming population everywhere around where people are moving, there's a shortage of land and housing. I mean, Nashville, for example, we're 15,000 homes short of what we need. 15,000. Like if you had 14,000 right now, you would be full, but still also 1,000 short. So just think about that. And that's most metro areas. So where are these houses going to go? You're not going to be more dense. So if you're going to put a golf course, it's got to be out. Well, how's that going to work as far as infrastructure, as far as logistics? What's going to be out there to support that community? Are people going to drive way out in the boondocks to go play a six-hole course that where it's going to be financially feasible for that owner of that golf course to stay afloat? I mean, the economics say you have to have a higher end club with higher end home prices to go facilitate this golf course, because that's the only way it's going to work, because that's the only one going to support it. I mean, it's probably $1 to $2 million a year to maintain a golf course, just with all the chemicals and people and all that. So
when I think interesting caveat for us has been seeing the muni talk of like the city-owned golf courses, and even them kind of hemorrhaging money and really struggling to find answers to why to even keep it open.
Yeah.
Are there any innovative, just from like your real estate background, that you've seen innovative ways for cities to make the justification with this massive, I would say, land grab going on for new housing, to keep these like municipal golf courses afloat, or are we kind of maybe going to even see them go by the wayside?
I mean, you're talking about bureaucracies and people that don't play golf that run these golf courses. So it's all about numbers. And they don't understand like what they think it's for rich people. And it's like, it's not what it's about. And we got 3, 4, 5 golf courses here that are really good. There's actually one that if they put some money into would be really freaking good. I mean, it is a prime piece of land. It is like amazing. You're like, just if you spent $2 million, this could be a championship golf course. I mean, hosting majors, like, this is a phenomenal place. It is like the layout is like, it is so cool, but they won't put any money into it because it's a government owned thing. They're putting just enough into it to keep it afloat. And that's all it's going to be. I mean, the range balls, not kidding. Range balls are 20 years old. You're like, can you not afford to run new range balls?
Jeez.
I mean, there's no dimples on them. I played it a while back. But they're managing by numbers. And the one thing I can see there is actually selling or do a private public partnership with a operations company, go run these things and put money into to go generate more money for both the city and as well as play. But they're going to want more access for the lower income folks. Well, how do you go do that? When you're booked from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on your tee times. I mean, how do you go do it? Like, you're going to cut off some revenue someplace. And plus all the environmental stuff. I mean, Southeast right now we're okay, but we're about to be in a drought. Same thing in Texas. They're in a drought. How can you justify as a city to go put money on grass when there's a drought? And a lot of these municipalities are very eco-friendly and green initiatives. So what do you do there? I mean, they'd rather put in a dog park because most people have dogs, and that makes them feel good.